So congratulations, great news. You have a second interview coming up. I know how difficult it is to even get a first interview out there. So getting a second interview is really an awesome achievement. The unfortunate thing about it is second interviews are not as easy as the first interviews. My name is Bill Benoist. I'm a certified professional career coach here in Silicon Valley. And in today's video, I want to talk about how you can be successful in the second interview, how you can nail it, how you can crush it, and hopefully get that job offer. So if you haven't already done so, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, hit that bell notification as I do upload new career tips and strategies every Tuesday. So what is it that you can expect? Well, one of the things that I've talked about in previous videos is that it really was your resume that validated your competence. It was the phone screen by that initial recruiter or maybe the hiring manager that really kind of validated your competence to call you in for that first interview. And when they called you in, it was really more about compatibility than it was about competence because they had pretty much a feeling. Now they see something in you and they want to learn a little bit more about you. So they're calling you back. And this could be a second interview, and it also could be the final interview as well. But it could be a second interview, again, with the hiring manager, or it could be a second interview with his or her team. But the bottom line is this, and that is they're going to do a much deeper dive into your skills and what it is that you're going to be bringing to the table. So how is it that you want to prepare for this? Well, I got to start out with what I've talked about in other videos as well, your source stories and your star stories. You need to show your accomplishments. So what is the star? It's the situation, it's the task, it's the action that you took, it's the result. What is a SOAR? It's the situation, it's the obstacle you faced. It's the action that you took, and it's the result that came about it. So one of the things that I advise all of my clients to do when they're going in for these second interviews is to go just straight down their resume, bullet point by bullet point on the resume, and look at the accomplishment statements there. And can you tell a story behind each one of those? Because there's a good chance you're going to be asked more in depth about these accomplishment statements. So you need to tell a story behind that. And one of the best ways that you can do this is prepare beforehand. Get out some paper and just write some bullet points, but make sure these bullet points are those four elements: the situation, the task or the obstacle, the action you took, and the result that came about it. Preparing in advance is going to be one of the best things that you can do. So be prepared for getting a much deeper dive on the resume itself. They're also going to be asking you about what it is that really draws you to this company or to the position itself. And this is something that can help you really shine if you take the time to really go through and research this company, research this position, research the hiring manager if you can through, Google, or not Google, excuse me, through LinkedIn. But the more research that you can show that you've done, the more you're going to stand out in this interview, because they will probably be asking you questions about what draws you to either this position or to this company. And if you could sit there and talk about how you've studied this, what you've learned before in the previous interview, be prepared for that. And again, a little bonus point, if you can go through and you research the hiring manager, and this always impresses hiring managers, and sit there and say, I saw that you did this or commented on this, and bring this up. It's really going to, again, help you stand out. So be prepared for these kind of questions. Again, they're going to be asking you questions that are really going to show how your judgment is. You want to validate your judgment. And this is going to be questions about, tell me a time when, or give me an example of. Usually you can pull these kind of things off of your resume itself. So if they say, tell me a time when, you can go back, well, as an example, I have this on my resume, and this was a situation, this was the obstacle I faced, this was the action I took, this was the result. You'll do great there. I'm going to ask you about relationships. And what I mean by this is, say, conflict resolution. How do you handle a difficult situation or, a disagreement with someone? These are usually things that are not going to be, promoted on your resume, but you need to be prepared for these kind of questions. So what I would suggest you do is just simply sit back and think about, before you ever go to the interview, of course, take some time and sit there and think about, situations that have come up over the last couple of years that involved a conflict or, a decision that you didn't agree with and how you handled that. And again, the situation, the task, the action, and the result that it took. So you will sound polished when you go in and answer these questions. Another common question that you may be asked is about your expectations. And that could be probably one of the most common ones. What are your salary expectations? And again, I have a video on that as well. I'll put a link to it in the upper right-hand corner. But the key to this is that you never want to try to negotiate a salary for a position that's not been offered to you. So, simply answer it with a deflection. I'm looking for the same thing you are, just fair and equitable salary based upon my skills and experience. And if you feel comfortable, put this in there too. Are you able to share the salary range with me? Most of the time they'll do that. In fact, if it's in California, they have to. It's a law that was passed in 2020. But the bottom line is, even if they do share that and it's a little bit lower than what you think, don't try to negotiate a salary that's not been offered. When they make you a job offer, that's the time that you want to negotiate the salary. And then finally, one of the things that they're going to ask you about, or they may ask you about, is your previous employment. And you got to be really careful about this. You don't want to talk anything derogatory about your previous company or any coworkers about there. One of the things that I would suggest is going back and looking at my video on why did you leave your last job. Talk about this as an exit statement. What you want to do is you may want to sit there and say in one sentence, no more than two, what was the reason that you lost your job, without emotions, without anything attached to it. Intel had a reduction in the workforce that eliminated 11% of the jobs, including mine. Remember, you're never laid off, your position was eliminated. But then talk about something on the positive, like what is it that you are really grateful for having worked at your last company? It could be the team, it could be the product, it could be your experience, but you want to end that. And again, make sure that you check out that video. And as I said, this could be a final interview, but also there could be one more interview after this one, and that is with the hiring manager's boss. So if you're called in for that third interview, you're really getting close to the goal line, but make sure that you check out this video as I do talk about what you can expect in the interview with the hiring manager's boss.